Let's do a little experiment. Watch what happens when I say the words artificial intelligence. See, you just got a little tense. Now let's have ourselves a pocket sized pep talk because before you get even more tense, I want to remind you that AI can streamline operations and achieve remarkable sales feeds. It's coming and it has the potential to revolutionize the sales automation part of your business. Today's guest is going to tell us how.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
Today's guest, Tom Ryan, CEO and founder of Bigly Sales, is a visionary leader reshaping the sales landscape through innovative AI solutions. With a background in staffing and executive experience, Tom identified the needs for streamlined sales processes in the evolving market. His journey from the staffing industry to the forefront of AI-driven sales reflects his dedication to leveraging technology, evident in the Bigly Sales cutting-edge tools for lead generation and customizable landing pages. So, he knows a thing or two about AI. Happy to have you with us and welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Rob.
It's an absolute pleasure. And you're here because I saw you in a couple podcasts and I was really interested. So let's just dive in. I know AI isn't just coming, it's here. But I think AI has a PR problem. And why is it every time I turn on the news, I hear something that's meant to scare me about AI?
Well, because fear sells. I mean, that's the big thing. Fear sells. Um, AI right now is really, I like to think of it more as autocomplete, right? So you know how you go on Google and you start typing something in, and lo and behold, as soon as you get one word in, it kind of guesses what you want to say, what you were thinking. Because they look at the 5 or 6 most common things that have been written or that have been searched for, and they pull it up, right? And they're usually right. They get it right more times than they don't. So AI works the same way. And the way it's happening now, and not 10 years from now or 20 years from now or 10 or 20 years in the past, is they finally have the processing power to be able to look at large strings of speech. So I'm going to talk mostly about the large language models, but they all work pretty much the same way.
Right.
What they've done is they've basically taken everything ever written or spoken on the internet, and they fed it into these giant computer models. And when you ask it a question about something, if you say, tell me a love story, it's literally looked at every love story ever written. And it says, this is what a love story kind of looks like. And it guesses what to put next, right? So it just puts together something that's autocomplete with the sentence structure that, you would expect. And, it comes up with something pretty good. And frankly, that's, I think, how most people learn and how most people interact. They take something that they've learned in one place and then they try to apply it somewhere else. That's really what the AI does. But if you start playing with this stuff, you realize it is not thinking. It doesn't think as well as my Pomeranian, right? It doesn't understand these things. It's not processing and saying, because of this, aha, I want to do this. So the Terminator robots aren't coming, at least not anytime soon. I mean, they could put AI on a robot and say, shoot anything that moves, right? But it's not thinking, it's not going to take over. It works like a computer. You give it an input and you get an output.
Right. It reminds me of, I think, one of the Star Treks where, in a sense, there's a battle between artificial intelligence and, of course, Kirk or whoever the new, captain is, tends to always win because the human emotion part is the part that AI can't get. But I'm reading that, I think you did a great job defining it, by the way. It's the best job I've ever heard. I mean that. So you're on a roll. I'm serious. I like when a guy can take something and say, here's 2 sentences. Don't know how it fills out a sentence. That's AI. I got it immediately. Can it put in the emotion part? I mean, if it studies emotion enough, can it fill that in?
Yeah. I mean, that it can do. So if it says, I want you to speak in an angry tone, well, it's read things that are in an angry tone, and it can copy that tone. If you say, Be brief. It can be brief. If you can say be wordy, it can be wordy, right? If you say give me 1,000 characters, it has a little more trouble with that, but sometimes it gets it wrong because we're trying to do a lot of stuff with SMS and telling OpenAI, hey, limit this to 160 characters. It struggles with that, right?
Right.
Sometimes, but if you tell it to act in a certain way or to speak in a certain way, we would do all these fun things, kind of playing around with it, right? So just go to ChatGPT and play around, say, I want you to talk, right? Tell me this story or, write about this topic, but write like Randy the Macho Man Savage, and it'll start going, oh yeah, right? And then it'll write out the story.
Yeah.
So you basically can say, take this voice, take the voice of Barack Obama, and it's going to throw a couple things about change in there and, it'll spit it out.
Yeah.
So
It's incredible. I was at a wedding a couple weeks ago, and I was in Seattle, and there was a couple guys from some real think tanks up there. And I said, I'm sort of new to this. And they said, went to his chat, GBT or whatever it is. And he said, okay, you got anything online? I said, I got 15 years of blogs. There's a lot of words of mine. He said, good. Give me like 3 words. I said, like a shelf on the wall or something. He said, okay. Within a half a second, there was an article that was written by me, because I think he put in there, right, like Rob Jollis or something. And I got to tell you something, Tom. I thought it was by me. I thought I may have written that. There was a playful title. I tend to play with my titles. My publicists don't like that, but I tend to get a little crafty with my title. Immediately crafty. Broke things into 3 sections here or there. There were just elements where I could see instantly it had my rhythm. It was impressive. And at the same time, it scared me because I thought I could get very lazy leaning on this. I don't want to lose my ability to write, but that's the fear part coming out. But I was shocked at how well it did. And I'm a pretty good judge of me. Uh, somebody said to me, didn't tell me anything, just brought it up and said, you remember writing that? I'd have looked it over and went, no, but it's clearly I wrote it. Well, when did I write it?
Know thyself.
Yeah. All right.
Well, let's
Let's
say
move into.
anything that you did
Yeah.
like a year ago, anything you've written, anything like even like they say about code, whatever. You're not going to remember it a year from now.
Mhm.
Right? You're not going to remember what you actually said or what you actually wrote. But if you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, or I saw it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it can totally do that.
Well, you don't know my wife. She seems to remember a lot of things that I say many years back, which of course I don't remember. But that said, let's move it to the business community a little bit. Okay. So uh, we got a pretty good sales audience, entrepreneurial audience listening right now. How does AI how's that transforming the sales process in those particular industries, and particularly sales?
So let me take a step back for a second.
Okay.
Right? We just talked about how it can copy any sort of voice. It can copy an emotion, right? So one of the issues that I actually started building a CRM. And the background on the CRM was I wanted a CRM that had all your communications in it. Because what I thought one of the big issues was with the CRM was it's garbage in, garbage out. The salespeople hate putting notes in the CRM. If anyone's ever managed a sales team, right? The sales
Can't
guys
stand
talk
it.
to the
I hate
person.
it.
They forget to mark that they spoke to the person. Emails don't make it in. Text messages definitely don't make it in. Phone calls, oftentimes the phone calls, the note is one word or one line, on a 20-minute phone call that took place. So none of that data was making it into the system. And we built out a system to automate the outreach. So to automate texts, automate emails, automate phone calls. But one of the problems was you still had to write all this stuff. You still had to write it and you still had to set it up. And you still had to remember to follow up with people when they would follow up with you. And I was watching people use the software and, someone would send out a text blast. They'd send a blast out to, a couple thousand people and guys would get back to them. They wouldn't respond for a week, right? Or they'd say, oh, let me just give it to my VA, right? And the VA is responding in broken English on a lot of this stuff. And, there was a lot of pretty clear issues that had popped up. And when the AI came out, I said, this is it. right? This fixes all of it. You can respond automatically. You can respond instantaneously, right? You can set the tone. You can feed it the data. So, you get perfect data back. Um, have you ever called one of these places and talked to a sales rep about something, or talked to, a company doing customer support, and they just told you the completely wrong thing?
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
so you can make it that never happens, right? You can put in your most updated information, make sure it's up to date, make sure it's up to date once, and then it's so much easier to do it once than try to train 1,000 people.
Yep.
Especially if they're going in and out the door, they're leaving. Is your training material up to date? So the whole idea is to be able to have instantaneous communications 24/7, 365. It's midnight on Christmas Eve. Someone writes in about something, they automatically get a response back. And then it keeps working them to a goal, be it to push for a phone call, to push for a meeting, to push them towards a website, to be able to answer whatever questions they may have, whatever support questions they may have. So over the next couple of years, and I'm not talking 10 or 20 years. I mean, when I say couple, I mean two. I see this replacing most of the level one support globally. I see this replacing, most of the SDRs globally. That, this is going to come so fast, and businesses are going to hop on board quickly because there's a huge cost savings and there's a major improvement with sales. If you don't answer people fast, I mean, this varies by industry. Like if I'm selling Boeing jets, right, my speed to response probably matters a little less because there's, like two competitors on Earth, right? But if I'm doing something that's in a competitive industry, an undifferentiated industry, and I take a day to get back to someone, and they have an immediate need, they found it somewhere else. So, for most industries out there, if you're not responding in the first hour, you're going to lose 90 to 95% of your sales.
Yeah. You're not losing me on that, even as a professional speaker. I have a system set up. So when I'm not here, I'm pinged instantly. Because if I get a call and I don't get back, there's a catalog of guys that look like me.
Yep.
And sometimes those speakers bureaus will go right down that catalog until somebody picks up the phone or gets back to them quickly because they got a client who's saying, I need to know now.
That's it. And they're trying to get
Yeah,
it done. They're not going to wait around for a week.
yeah. But
So that's what the AI can do. It can
yeah,
automate those responses. But just like you can make that book sound like you can make that blog sound like you, they can make the responses sound like you. They can, either say, I mean, because you're famous, right? It's a little easier. They can feed it in, but you can give it a persona and you can say to act in this way. We're giving it different sales techniques that we're trying out with the AI right now for like the SMS, use mirroring, use this sales technique, use that sales technique.
yeah.
And, we're just going to test and see what works best.
All right, let me ask a couple quick questions. One, is an auto attendant in your mind AI?
When you say an auto attendant,
On a phone. If I'm calling a company, I'm getting into that auto attendant kind of
no,
tree
no,
of
no, no, no. And that's what we're working on the voice piece right now, but no,
yeah,
that's old technology. That's IVR technology that's been around for 25, 30 years.
yeah,
I mean, since I've been a kid, that's been around really, maybe more than
yeah.
30 years.
Yeah. Well, and it's a buffer, I think, for some companies, at least trying to slow down the onslaught. I mean, you go to major, you mentioned the airline, you can call United. You're going to hit that auto attendant and it will need certain information against the channel where it's going to send that call. But okay, what about autonomous vehicles? Is that a form of AI in your opinion?
That is for sure.
Okay.
I mean, what they're doing is they're training it the same way that they do those large language models. They're
Yeah.
taking, billions of miles of driving and they're putting it in. And I'll give you the short version. The AI is going to win, right?
Yeah.
Over time, there's no question the AI is going to be better than any human driver. It's going to be better than Mario Andretti because what you can do is you can give billions of miles and show it every scenario on earth, every car accident that's ever happened. Why did that car accident happen? So you can train it in such a way that you'll never be able to train a human, just because you can't drive for 1 billion miles.
Yep.
If you drove every minute for your entire life, you wouldn't have 1 billion miles.
Yeah.
So the amount of reps is what's going to allow it to win. And that's why it's already beating people at chess, and it's beating people at Go. There's actually a story where they put it against a Top Gun pilot recently, and it won every time.
Ooh.
Right. But they trained it for 100 years first, right?
Yeah. Well,
no one can be in a simulator for 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I attended a financial meeting where I was speaking, and they were talking about the autonomous vehicles. And to your point, Tom, first point they made was the hand immediately went up and said, "What about the person in Pittsburgh who?" Then they went through the story of a tragedy, and they said, "Yes, it was very tragic." However, for every one of those, count how many eating, sleeping, talking, falling asleep. So many different things that AI.
How many people get behind the wheel drunk?
Right. All that. And then they did one more thing, Tom, in terms of the technology. They showed a video and they said, take a look. And they showed it and you saw something happen, way up on the road. And they said, now watch again. And you see the car that had the autonomous technology in it actually slowed and pulled over about 3 seconds before the accident even occurred. And it was looking under two vehicles to see it, but it was already seeing what was about to happen and began to take notice of it and caution. And it was a incredible display. And the last thing they said, because, we don't have to be a slave to the financial industry, but you might want to watch where the dollars are going. They already are predicting how the insurance rates are going to be changing because so many people in the hospital today, right now, are in there because of automobile accidents, which are going to come down dramatically. So it's a case of that AI, but I started by saying it's a sort of a PR problem. And I liked your answer in terms of, if it bleeds, it leads, it's fear. But the reality is, yeah, like it or not, it's coming in, it's better. Just
wait till all those cars are networked together too.
Yeah. I never thought of that. But, and then I'll get off this, but what about the people who are right now customer service reps and are doing their job, and AI will do it better? But where do they go? What happens to those people? You were in staffing.
I'll take it one step further. I'll take it one step further.
Okay.
Any job that can be done on a computer, AI is going to do better, faster, and cheaper in the next couple of years. My best advice is learn to use this technology now. If you said you dealt with a lot of people who had some chronic unemployment issues, learn how to use this technology now. You will be more valuable than the next guy. It will give you, for all intents and purposes, superpowers. You'll be able to produce work 10 times as fast. You'll be able to produce work with less errors. You'll be able to produce work that is outside your area of expertise even, and you'll do it better than 99.9% of the people out there. Right now, if you're an absolute luminary in your field, right, it's probably not better than the best doctor or the best lawyer. It certainly doesn't have the relationships that they do. But if you're a layperson, it's going to be better than you at everything. So if you want to do some programming, right, you put into the AI, hey, I want to do some programming. This is what I'm looking to do. And it'll guide you through it step by step. If you are, looking to, literally anything like that, anything on a computer, anything on a spreadsheet, anything that you're trying to do, you can put it in there. And the amazing part about it is with most of this stuff, it's like there's this great new tool. How do I use it? Well, you just ask it how to use it and it tells you. Right? For any program on the computer, right? You're not an Excel whiz, you'll become an Excel whiz, right? You say, hey, I need to do this, and this is what I'm trying to do. And then you try it and it doesn't work quite right. And you say, it didn't work quite right. I got this answer and I was looking for something else. And I say, oh, you need to change the formula from this to this. And, and boom, it works. And
the funny thing about having a conversation with you is I don't know whether we're talking a little bit in the future or a lot in the future.
No, we're talking now. We're talking 2024 is the year this becomes ubiquitous. Every major software company is putting this into their programs. And if you take a look at some players like Microsoft, okay, Microsoft just put 10 billion into OpenAI, right? That's just one company. Figure just raised almost $1 billion for robots with AI. You have Claude, which is the competitor to it's owned by a company called Anthropic, and they just raised, I believe, $6 billion by Amazon and by another one. Then Facebook is putting their money into this, and Google is putting their money into this. All the tech giants are putting in, right, in aggregate, tens of billions of dollars annually. These are the smartest guys in the room. These are the guys who know the most about this technology, and they're all betting on this. And I've never seen this before. I've never seen this amount of capital deployed to a certain industry by a handful of industry leaders in anything ever.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about you? How about Bigley Sales? What are you building for the sales landscape?
So right now we have autoresponders set up. So you can set up a chatbot. You can plug in all your own data. You can basically make it all searchable. So the AI can immediately go and find the specific topic that you're looking for and respond back within a second or two, and answer any question. We're setting that up to work with email, to work with SMS. Those are live right now. To work with chatbots. We will have shortly the ability to do that for any social media as well, and then to push someone towards a goal. So that goal might be to schedule a meeting. That goal might be to push for a sales call right away. And all of this is live today, right? This is technology that is live right now. And we have so much interest in this. We stopped taking on clients for a little while just because we had more than we could handle. We're going to start taking on some new clients again very shortly here. But the big thing is being able to schedule meetings automatically as a lead comes in a TCPA compliant way, right? To by the book for the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. And that's the big thing we have been working on. What's coming next is doing this for call centers to actually replace the vast majority of the lower level call center employees, to be able to have the AI solve this problem. So right now, this probably wouldn't be a big deal for you, but 30% of Americans said they would rather shave their head than talk to someone at a call center.
I guess you outed me.
On the Sun video, I see the bobblehead behind you. I figured people knew.
Yeah, they know. Don't worry. It's okay. They know.
Anyway, it's a lousy customer experience in general. That no one gets really excited about calling Comcast or AT&T, or I got a call. There's a problem with my flight. I got to call the airline right now. This should be a fast, easy process, right? Those are words that have never been spoken. The only question is how much of your time are they going to take? Is it going to be a half hour? Is it going to be an hour? Is it going to be 2 hours? Are you going to be able to resolve the issue? So what we're doing is we're going to solve that problem. That's my goal over at Bigley Sales, to make it when anyone calls in that the AI is instantly able to handle your issue. It's going to have perfect knowledge of everything that's going on. It's going to solve the waiting line problem, being, either if you're running a business, you have guys sitting around twiddling their thumbs half the time, or you have people on hold for an hour. And it's very hard to get that staffing level exactly right. Then it's very hard to train all those people. It's very hard to have them say the right things. It's very hard for them to actually know what to say and to know everything there is to know about their product. So all of this stuff can be handled by AI. And some companies are already doing it. Like Apple, for example, they already have this internally. It's not from us, but they already have this live and running. So it is, for all intents and purposes, a solved problem as of today with today's technology.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you a specific application, because the bald guy wants to know. for a lot of smaller businesses like mine, it's not unusual for me to get 100, 125 emails a day.
Yep.
50 of them I can pretty much just delete. They're nothing. But I know it's there. But from a cost perspective, I could hire somebody and do. I've had administrative assistants that work for me. But uh, how expensive would it be? And I know I'm just ballpark me, but and maybe you can't. But what are we looking at if AI came in? Because I'm assuming this isn't rocket science to basically be able to sift through not 100%, but a lot of the emails, respond to certain emails. Am I saving money on that, or am I better off with an administrative assistant that person can do it and does do it?
So today for the voice, we're coming in around 15 cents, right? 15 cents a minute for the voice. For emails and text messages and stuff like that, it's significantly cheaper. We're talking 5 to 10 cents based on volume. So particularly if you have a sales inbox set up, if you have something that's supposed to be for sales messages, we can go and, immediately respond to those things as they come in. So I remember when I was working in sales, it would always piss me off. It'd be like, I would leave for vacation, and 10 minutes after I left on vacation, this was before the internet was ubiquitous on your phone, we'd get an email in like, hey, I need an order for $1 million, right? And, you always be like the biggest order of the year when I'm going to be out of the office for a week and a half.
Right.
It would come in and you're like, son of a, I can't believe this just happened. How did I miss this thing? So it can automatically respond. It can automatically book that meeting out, automatically put it on your calendar so you don't miss anything anymore. And again, like you said, there's a lot of guys like you where they're going down a list, a publicist list, boom, 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 boom. As soon as that message comes in, even if you're not there to pick up the phone, we'll automatically text them back.
Right.
Right. And then you can start doing a conversation over text and it'll be like, hey, we're looking to book you. And like, oh yeah, here's my calendar, what time works for you? And we'll go back and forth with them. We don't use a Calendly type thing. We have one built out, but people don't like it, right? People don't want to do homework. They don't want to be like, write down all your information, put it on here, and hopefully we can show up at this time. So we found it's much more effective to actually just go back and forth with them like you're a human,
Right.
and say, hey, what time are you available? And the guys, goes, I can talk tomorrow at 3. So yeah, I got that spot available. Great. We sent, and then you send a calendar invite to them and automatic reminders and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah, I actually saw at a recent meeting, it was actually an author's retreat, but they had an AI guy come in and just showed a whole string of email response. It was an email chain, and it was all AI, and you would have never known it. It was really reacting to a lot of the questions that were being asked, and okay, we can get you scheduled just like you said. But we looked at it and we had to be told that that was not a human being that was communicating with this customer. It was really well done. And that's what sort of got me going of, I want to protect people's jobs, but I wouldn't mind being able to streamline my job. And I guess therein lies the big question there.
And here's the thing, I like taking this back. If you go to the beginning of when the country was founded, pretty much everyone worked in agriculture, right? It was 90% plus of the population worked in agriculture. Everyone was working the fields. And if you told them, hey, there's going to be new technology that comes in that's going to do this job for you, everyone was going to say, what am I going to do? We're all going to be sitting around. There's going to be no work to do. Well, it turned out that's not a problem, right? We have unemployment at, 3-point-something%. Pretty much everyone who wants a job is working right now. Maybe not in the job they exactly want, but, there's plenty of work to go around. And this is going to be the same thing. It's the jobs that you're going to get rid of are jobs that can be done better by machine. So, right. You could still have people driving folks around in rickshaws, but, now there's cars. And, once those cars become autonomous, those drivers, they're going to lose their job.
Yep.
But is that really, kind of the peak of human existence? Is that driving other people around all day or driving something from here to there? If we can have a piece of technology do that and allow these people to do something else, is that a benefit for society as a whole? Is that a benefit for them?
Yeah.
Now, maybe they're going to need to do some sort of universal basic income. Maybe something like that is coming because of these advances, right? But
Yep.
people can follow their dreams. They can do other things that, aren't, I'm going to answer the phone and I'm going to type in a form because we didn't have the ability to do this in any other way. So I think it's just the next step. This is going to be the biggest leap in productivity ever.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. And I don't know if this is a perfect model because I don't know the model all that well, but I'm watching Amazon as an example, and there have at least been some stories and ads and things where, okay, we're automating a lot of that's what's going on, in the storage areas where they're, collecting products. But they're retraining the people that did that manually to service the robotics that are moving in to take that job. I would like to think that, that would be a wonderful responsibility for companies. I also like the song Kumbaya, by the way, but I would like to think that, that companies where they're beginning to move in automation can help those employees, even those customer service reps you were talking about. I was in a lawsuit one time representing massive amount of customer service reps with a company I won't tell you the name of, but so I have a soft spot in my heart for these people. Maybe if they're willing, if you want to put your finger in your ear and say, I don't want any part, okay. But if you're willing, we'll try and, move you along and help you support this automation because it's going to still people need to repair automation and program automation, et cetera.
There's going to be new
Right?
jobs that come out of this. There's
Yeah.
going to be new things that come out of this. But I'm not in the camp of, hey, we need to protect the horse and buggy whip makers, right? You had this horse-drawn carriage company is going to go out of business, and oh my God, there's tens of thousands of people working at this horse-drawn carriage at the horse-drawn carriage makers, and who's going to make the saddles now? And they're going to find something new to do that's more productive, that society actually needs. And that's the way capitalism works. And, I'm a big believer in the capitalistic system that there will be new things. I hate crony capitalism, by the way,
Yeah.
right? I'm not a huge fan of crony capitalism. But that's the way our system is set up, that you aren't a central planning organization that says what role everyone has to be and how many people have to be in it, because no one can get it right.
Yeah.
You look at companies, they can't plan for their own business 2 years in the future and get it right, much less for every company on earth.
Yeah.
So, that's the way the system is set up.
All
And
right.
we
All
all
right.
do better because
You're
of
the
it.
bad cop. I'm the good cop. I've got a little bit more compassion in my heart, Tom. But
I have
I
tons of
understand your
compassion.
point.
I have tons of compassion.
I understand your point. I'm winking at him right now. I got your point. Okay, I got it. But I would like to think I'm going to stay on my turf that if somebody is willing and able and wants to be put back in school, whatever it takes, if you're willing and able, we'll try and find a place for you as our company grows and evolves.
Oh, 100%.
That's all.
100%.
Okay, good. That's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. Okay.
There's going
Okay.
to be new jobs. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be
Yeah.
new jobs. And I
Good.
don't know what they are, and no
Right.
one does,
Right.
but I guarantee they're going to be there because, that's the way our system works.
Okay. Makes sense. All right, I got two last questions for you. One, and I frequently ask this of authors, but I think it fits well for you because a lot of times when somebody writes a book, they didn't just wake up cooking it, didn't hit them in the head, and they went, I just woke up and I said, I'm going to write a book. Something really moved them that they wanted to get that word out, that message out. I'm curious, you come from the staffing industry and you're clearly you're bitten by the AI bug here. Was there a moment? What drove you towards this? Was there an event, a story, something where you said, "That's where I want to start studying and going"?
So I got pulled onto a project, and this had to be in like 2002 or 2003, to work on our CRM system. They said, hey, Tom, you're a smart guy. Why don't you, jump on this? And they pulled some guys in from the business to, look at how the CRM is set up and how it's operating and what was going on. So I started looking at this, from a standpoint of how should these systems work? And then, I started doing that, and then I built my company. and we built our own CRM because I didn't like any of the other products that we had at the time. And what I found was the only thing that moved the needle was automation, was automating the outreach to folks. That was where all the value from the CRM came. Everything else was pretty much meaningless. Now, I'm sure there's some planning things you can do at a higher level at a larger organization when you have, thousands of employees. But, for us, all of it was automating the communications to the right people at the right time. And those were the things that worked. So when I started Bigly, that was the plan. It was to be able to automate the communications to folks, to be able to say, hey, right, I got to reach out to Rob, 6 times this year. Let's schedule that and let's automate that. And we'll automate, 6 texts out to Rob. And we do text mostly instead of email because, text is like a 98% open rate, and email, you got to pray it doesn't go to spam.
Oh, wait a minute. That's like a wine bottle you just opened. Let that one breathe a little bit. That's interesting. I had no idea. Say that again.
Yeah, everyone sees texts. Everyone
Right.
sees a text, and most people see it within 15 minutes. An email, if you're like, we were dealing with nurses for a while, a
Yeah.
nurse might check her email every 3 months, right? So the text, most people see those within 15 minutes, like 95% of texts are read within 15 minutes. Some people say it's higher. And once we get off this, the first thing you're probably going to do is look at your phone. And if there's a text message, you're going to read it, right? Probably.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm smiling.
And email, a lot of people barely use it at all. If you're talking about older people, unemployed people, email, if you work in tech, you probably check your email every 10 minutes.
You're killing me, Tom. You're killing me. So email, I'm a dinosaur if I'm leaning on email still instead of text.
It's
Say it nicely.
more people look at text. And with Google, what they're doing now is they're saying if 0.3% of your messages is marked as spam, so 3 messages in every 1,000 get marked as spam, they're going to put you to the spam box. It is hard getting emails through these days, even with people that So it's pretty easy to go to that spam box. And unless you're checking your email rate, you don't even know. And if you're in spam, no one sees that email, right? So text I find to be much more effective. And thankfully, they're cleaning up the texting industry. They're cleaning up the phone industry right now. The TCPA is the FCC and the FTC are going to be very aggressive starting next year and going after bad actors. They're making you register every phone number. Some folks are getting away with it still, but more and more and more, they're shutting down all those avenues for people to get away with it. So they don't want people scamming. Yeah. It's
really. Maybe AI can jump in and help us out there because
they have to.
Yeah, I'm very careful not to give out my cell phone number because of all the spam that I get. I don't want it. And to your point, and you're absolutely right.
Rob, do you mind if I go down a rabbit hole?
I get a hit on that text, I go for it almost instantly. I get a hit on an email, I'll get to it. So I'm careful about. I'm almost insulted sometimes when I have somebody who doesn't know me real well texting me. It's like, no, you're not allowed to tap me on the back and interrupt me right now. But I might be coming from the older school on this, which drives me nuts if you should that. But I hear your point, and I'm so glad that you said they're cleaning it up because I'm at least 5 to 10 times a day, minimum of 5. I'm getting some sort of spam, something on my texts.
Yeah,
the only ones stop and look.
The only ones who are allowed to do it now are the politicians. The politicians, which I still think they're violating the law, but they're able to get away with it with those political texts. If someone is sending unsolicited messages right now, if you're doing it on the on the T-Mobile network, you can get a fine of $500 per occurrence. If you're sending messages you aren't supposed to, you can also get a fine from the FTC or the FCC for $500 per occurrence right now. So they're going to start coming after some people for, hey, you sent out 1 million messages you weren't supposed to. Just cut us a check for 500 million at your earliest convenience. I see those things starting to happen.
Fingers crossed.
in 2025. The way it works right now, you fill out a form online, right? And you filled out a form for something, right? It doesn't matter what it is, right? You need a new roof, you need some solar panels, you need right, a plumber to come by, or something you saw on Angie's List, or a home loan. The way the law is written now is they can actually sell that to their partners. So as long as their legal stuff is written correctly, they can take your information. It can be resold like 1,000 times. So they can sell it to 1,000 other people legally. So now they make it very hard for lawyers to go after these guys, because someone who was a partner from this place, even if it's something totally unrelated, as long as they have their certificate in hand, they have a trusted form certificate or something like that, a Janaya certificate that says, hey, I have this person filling out the form. Well, now they can resell it a bunch of times and it's legal. So they're closing that loophole, and that's going into effect February 2025.
Good.
And it's going to be that whoever you fill out the form for, if I fill out a form for, Wachovia Bank, I can get called by Wachovia Bank. I can't get called by some other division of Wachovia Bank that's unrelated, and I can't get called by one of their 1,000 other partners that they've sold that to. And, if the current administration stays in power, I would expect them to be very aggressive over the, next couple of years on this.
All right. So you heard it, folks. Good news. The bad news, good news. Bad news is Tom says, get ready for some texts from AI, but these are texts with people that you're expecting to hear from. So let's not, Rob, stop whining.
Yeah, you're not even going to know. You're not even going to know it's AI.
Okay.
It's going to be,
Tom.
I signed up for this, and
right.
the company reached out to me, and they reached out to me right away in a respectful manner, and then answered all my questions, with perfect accuracy, and then booked an appointment. If they didn't get ahead of this, by the way, do you know what a disaster this would be?
I already think we're living in a mild disaster right now.
No. I mean,
I can't even fathom it.
Let's put it this way. We could have the tech where, okay, you want to hire a sales rep, and I'm just going to go through the math for you. I'm hiring 2 sales reps. Let's say they're each making 200 calls a day. They're working really hard. They're making 200 calls a day each. So you got 400 calls a day. Well, I want to scale that up. Right now, I want to scale it to 4,000 calls a day. I got to hire 8 more guys, right? And I got to hope some of those people don't quit. And, I got to train them all. It's very hard to scale that up. It's very hard to scale that up quickly and to do it profitably. Well, you can have the AI. You think about this. Okay, it's going pretty well today. Have 400 calls. Let's do 40,000 calls. That's going pretty well. Let's do 4 million calls, right? Now, could you imagine if you had every decent sized company in the US doing this, right? You could get 1,000 calls a day from the AI. So they had to get in front of it. They had to do something before everyone in America just got inundated by spam,
right?
Or the phone lines would be unusable. So, I mean, they had to do something now. They couldn't wait to act on this, because we're basically here, for what I'm talking about. Could have technically, someone could probably, like an Apple could probably set it up right now. We'll have it live in the next couple of months. But, to be able to scale that, basically infinitely for any company, it's just never existed before.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to wrap this. I'll tell you, I could talk to you for another hour. I'm going to wrap us. First of all, and I don't want to forget this, you are getting ready to accept new customers potentially. So make sure I'll have it on the website, but tell me the website, how people get a hold of you.
Yeah, bigleysales.com. And anyone who wants to automate that scheduling process, automate their customer service, we can help them out. And, particularly we're doing some stuff in legal and insurance. Those are 2 of the main verticals that we're dealing with right now, as well as home services, where you just have to answer right away. Got it.
Okay. You just got to look at the future today. And I'm going to plant this seed in you, although I don't know how you write it, but seeing this, I do it with a lot of authors. I think there's a book in your future. The scary part about your book is you'll be halfway through the manuscript and it'll keep changing on you. I don't know how you, I don't know how you put a book out that stays current because this thing's moving at lightning speed. So,
You can't, I mean, I can't keep
yeah,
up with the tools. It changes every day. I can give you some of my favorites that I'm using right now. I mean,
yeah,
obviously Claude and ChatGPT. For images, my favorite's Midjourney, but you can also do it on ChatGPT if you want. But just Midjourney, I think their stuff is beautiful. You can, you can see every whisker on your face. You can see, blemishes. You can, I mean, they have it down to the last detail.
yeah.
And 2 years ago, they had pictures with holes in them, right, with extra fingers and stuff like that. So I mean, it's come so far so fast.
Yeah. Well, I want to
For
pay a compliment.
voices,
Yeah.
11 labs.
What's that? Say it again.
11 labs. You can clone any voice.
Right.
So I could take your voice and clone it
Yeah.
based on a couple seconds of your speech, maybe 10, 15 seconds of this podcast. And if I took a couple of minutes, we could clone your voice perfectly and have you say anything. So a big takeaway as well is for everyone listening, don't believe anything you see or anything you hear anymore, unless it's right in front of you. And even then, you should be a little skeptical.
Yeah. And on a positive note, and I thought it was a beautiful story. I know they're taking what you just said, whatever company's doing it, but for people that have ALS, Parkinson's, who are going to eventually lose their ability to communicate, they're using AI and their voice, so that when they're responding with a computer, they're actually responding with their voice.
That's
And,
fantastic.
and I think it's really beautiful. And they said, it takes like 30 minutes or something. I guess they've got enough phrases, et cetera, so that you'll be able to string anything together. And they showed an example, and it was really heartwarming. So you see, although Jollis gets a little shaky on this, I know there's a really good side to AI. And what I was going to say, Tom, is I want to pay you a compliment. I, there's learning about topics like this. They're very technical, but you have the ability to simplify and make it very clear. And a lot of times when people, are a little bit more analytical and they get into the weeds, they're good answers, but we're more confused than when we started. You had me right out of the gate because I instantly understood when you started getting me to visualize that stringing of words. And you built from there. So really a compliment to you. I'm really grateful to have had you on, and I appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you so much, Rob. And let me leave this on a positive note. This is going to be the biggest advance that humanity's ever seen. It's going to make everyone's lives many times better. I mean, it's gonna reduce the deaths for traffic, like you're talking about. It's going to cut the costs for businesses. It's going to, basically you have the entire knowledge of the world at your fingertips. You can learn to do anything in minutes. You can have the knowledge of a top medical doctor, the knowledge of a top lawyer, the knowledge of a top engineer. I mean, everything is now doable. That things that you wouldn't have been able to do in a decade before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is going to be the biggest advancement for humanity. I can't overstate it. It's not like we have all these crypto guys running around Miami where I live, and it's like, yeah, so you have a new digital currency that no one uses, right? Like blockchain, right? So you have a string of letters and numbers that you can use for identification. Okay. Cool. Right. But people are like, oh, it's world changing. I'm like,
Right.
This is the God machine. You can do anything. You can learn anything. And it's advancing at a pace where, 5 years from now, it's going to be 1,000 times more powerful. 10 years from now, it's going to be 1,000,000 times more powerful. And I don't know what that looks like, but it's going to be fantastic.
Right. Right. So don't be the person standing on doorstep saying, get off my yard. You might as well embrace it. It's coming. And, and as you just said, there's some really wonderful applications for it. So let's not run away from it. Let's run to it and see where we go. Anyway. All right, man. Really appreciate you being on the show. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
You bet. Well, we'll do it again as well as we can next time, everybody. Until then, stay safe.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.